Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another video here on the SSA Philosophy channel, where we dive right on into the philosophy of characters from video games to TV shows to movies, etc., etc. And of course, in today's video, we're going to be covering overall the character of known as Monsoon from the video game known as Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. And also, before we get into this video, I want to pretty much go off ahead and really just pretty much explain briefly, real quick, pretty much about the formatting, of the video here today. So basically here I'm pretty much using flan necked as it's called. I did pretty much comment this earlier, like my earlier video that I uploaded just earlier already a few hours ago, really, on the video I made on the character of Wolverine. Pretty much, I'm using Flan Connect pretty much to really, like, record my videos and whatnot on this, pretty much, recording my videos and such now. And and really, it's really good. I mean, it's really, like, a good platform and all. And I think the only downside pretty much is that, when I was uploading my video on the character of Wolverine, earlier, I mean, I guess the only downside pretty much overall had to be the fact that I couldn't, like, add, like, say, any, like, end screens. So I couldn't, like, really do that. So, so pretty much, that's, really all I wanted to just kind of go over briefly. So yeah, pretty much if you don't, like, see, like, pretty much, like, say, like, like any, like, end screens, like, like pretty much at the end of my videos and whatnot, it's because, I'm using flan neck, and pretty much I can't, overall, like, say, add, pretty much the end screens, especially if I'm making videos, using this platform and using the platform and everything. So, just kind of wanted to get that out of the way first and foremost before I get into the video today and all. But that's all I wanted to explain. So, of course, without any further ado, let's go on ahead and get started, of course, into this video. So, first thing we're gonna do is, we're gonna pretty much overall give a bit of a brief introduction of the character Monsoon. So who is Monsoon exactly? So really, in the whirlwind of cyborg violence, that is, of course, Metal Gear Rising with Vengeance. Now, there are a few figures who stand out quite like Monsoon. Now, see, Monsoon, obviously, he's not like, a term overall that I've thrown out a couple times more than once. He's not like your typical villain, but really more like a power hungry, despot, or a megalomaniac, scheming for, world domination. But the thing about Monsoon is this, the thing about Monsoon is that Monsoon is a really, he's an enigma. He's a walking, talking, philosophical treatise. Wrapped in a storm of razor sharp, shuriken and electrified limbs. So really emerging, from like the shadows of, pretty much emerging from the shadows as a high-ranking member of Desperado Enforcement, LLC, which stands for Limited Liability Corporation. A rogue PMC, specializing in cybernetic warfare. PMC basically, basically is like a private military contract, so yeah, pretty much specializing in cybernetic warfare. So really Monsoon, like, he cuts a striking figure, so really his lean, muscular frame is really encased in a sort of like sleek, black exoskeleton. It's menacing, red accents, mirroring the fiery intensity, really in his crimson eyes. But Monsoon's, his true weapon, it lies not in his arsenal, but really in his mind. So really, a self-proclaimed, wind of change. Monsoon is a walking, talking paradox. He's a ruthless killer, responsible for, countless atrocities, who simultaneously espouses a sort of bizarre, like, say, philosophical doctrine built around the concept of memes. And I'm pretty sure you already know exactly what I'm discussing, of course. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that all the Metal Gear Rising fans out there, who probably know the character Monsoon, they already know exactly what I'm talking about. Memes, the DNA of the soul type. Like, pretty much a lot of people know that. And Metal Gear Rising with Vengeance, the game itself has definitely been a game that, since being out since 2013, is one that pretty much the legacy of the game, it still carries on even to this day, especially when it comes to, like, how, when it comes, like, to the memes aspect of it all. you know but really, in this case, Monsoon, he's like a character that really is like a prime example of that when it comes to the memes. But really, he believes that, like, ideas, like genes, they can be passed on, evolving and adapting, through human interaction. And these memes, according to Monsoon, pretty much according, to Monsoon are, like the driving force, behind, human behavior, shaping everything, from war and violence to love and compassion. So yet, despite his cold analytical approach, to human emotions, Monsoon himself, he seems strangely, detached from them. Because really, he speaks in a sort of like almost like, pretty much like in a calm, almost serene voice, even when, delivering, pronouncements of destruction. Really, Monsoon, like he shows a twisted sense of amusement at violence, laughing maniacally as he dismantles his enemies, both literally and figuratively. So really Monsoon, like his fighting style really it reflects really overall like say this duality, because he's a master of like say ninjutsu, wielding a, pair of electrified, sai with deadly precision. Yet he seamlessly, integrates these ancient skills with advanced cybernetic weaponry, which of course is a perfect embodiment of the clash between the tradition and technology that actually defines the world of Metal Gear Rising. So really Monsoon's motivations. So really his motivations are shrouded in mystery. Because, Monsoon, like, he claims to really be like, say, this agent of change, seeking to push humanity to evolve, through the crucible of conflict. So whether he truly believes this twisted philosophy or he uses it as, say, a justification for his sadistic tendencies, it really remains unclear. And really what is really certain is that Monsoon really is a force to be reckoned with. Really he's a formidable foe, like a formidable opponent who challenges Raiden, who's the main character in Metal Gear Rising with Vengeance, challenges him, not just like say physically, but also like intellectually, forcing him to like confront the very nature of, of war, of violence, and humanity itself. So really, with that introduction out the way, let's go on ahead to pretty much dive right on into, of course, to this philosophy. Something overall that I like to call the memes of Monsoon, a philosophy of disintegration. So really, let us go on ahead really to like really dive right on into this, philosophy of this character, and really get a better understanding, of Monsoon as a character all around. Because Monsoon is a character I believe, for as pretty much like say as limited of, like not seeing him much on screen in the game Metal Gear Rising with Vengeance, he still, leaves like say a really like say like everlasting like sort of impact, like in the world of like Metal Gear Rising altogether, So really he's a very interesting, very like say complex character, in my opinion he is. So really let's go on ahead really to like really explore, the philosophy of this character. So really, Monsoon, this cyborg ninja and this harbinger of chaos in Metal Gear Rising, Revengeance. Now, he doesn't like say offer like say a philosophy of hope or redemption, but really he offers more of like say a brutal truth, a storm that tears away at the comforting illusions of free will and purpose. So really here are like say these chilling pillars of his ideology. So, of course, the first part we want to dive right on in, of course, to Monsoon's philosophy, of course, is, and as I said before, memes, the DNA of the soul. In this case, pretty much put it this way memes, the invisible masters. Now, you see, the thing about, Monsoon, when it comes to Monsoon's character, is that he really rejects the idea of a soul, because really in his mind, we are all puppets, our very thoughts and our actions are dictated, by the memes, the self replicating ideas that infect our minds. So, really, things like, say, religion, nationalism, fear, really these are all just, memes, shaping our behavior like a virus. And this concept really, I think it forces us to confront the influences that shape us, both positive and negative. And Monsoon, this flamboyant cyborg villain from Metal Gear Rising with Vengeance, like he isn't just like say obsessed, like say with war, but really he sees war really as a necessary evolutionary force, a crucible for memes, cultural ideas and behaviors, really to compete and to evolve. So really, here's how these memes, like how these memes, become the invisible masters in Monsoon's philosophy. So really, when it comes to Monsoon, see now when it comes to Monsoon, he believes, that memes replicate, and they spread, like genes. And just as strong genes survive the test of time, memes that resonate with people, often through violence and conflict, they become dominant. And this really draws a parallel between the biological evolution and the spread of ideas. So Monsoon, like, he sees war as like the ultimate testing ground for memes. And really in the chaos and in the violence, only the strongest, the most adaptable memes survive. And this twisted philosophy, really, well, pretty much this part of this philosophy, really, it's very twisted, because really it justifies war as a necessary evil, a way to accelerate, the evolution of ideas. So really for Monsoon, the memes that dominate a society shape its culture, its values, and even technology. Now, he might even see like the rise of cyborg soldiers as a meme itself, a reflection of, humanity's obsession with conflict and power. Now, Monsoon, as really as a self-proclaimed superior, pretty much as a self-proclaimed superior being believes that he's transcended the influence of memes because he sees himself as an individual who can manipulate them for his own goals, further solidifying his, villainous persona. So really Monsoon, like, even so really, when it comes like say to the memes, beyond humanity, like Monsoon, like I mean, he actually even might believe, like, might like say extend, like say his own theory to like, to AIs, and memes, and he might believe that strong AIs like himself could be like the next step in, mimetic evolution, you know, and really capable of like spreading their own like ideologies across like the digital landscape. So really, Monzoon's philosophy, really this part is very dangerous. Like it really glorifies like this violence and it really ignores the cost, really the human cost of war. And it also assumes that memes are inherently, competitive, neglecting the potential for, cooperation and coexistence of different ideas. So really Monsoon in essence, really he is a caricature of the concept of memes, And while memes, while they do spread and while they do evolve, they don't necessarily require a war torn world. So, really, this part of his philosophy, it really serves as a dark reminder of how powerful ideas can be and the potential really for their misuse. And also, another part, really to focus on in this case when it comes to Monsoon's philosophy is really that, war is the crucible. So, what does this mean exactly? So really, and what this really is that, violence isn't like say a regrettable excess. But really, it's like the ultimate teacher. Because Monsoon, like, he believes that conflict, it strips away the layers of delusion, revealing the raw, the immoral nature of humanity. It's really a harsh view, suggesting that, true understanding, comes only through suffering. So really, Monsoon, like, he views war, as like just this ever-present reality, this crucible that shapes human evolution. He believes that conflict, it pushes humanity to its limits, forcing adaptation and advancement. And really, this cynical view, it really suggests that war is inevitable. I mean, really, it suggests that war is an inevitable part of the human condition. And really, for Monsoon, war isn't just, inevitable, but really it's desirable because he sees it as a trial by fire, a way to weed out the weak and really to force the strong. And this belief, it really echoes this concept of something overall we've all heard a million times, the concept of, known as survival of the fittest, where only the strongest can truly thrive. Now, Monsoon, like he believes the ideas or the memes, as he calls them, are the underlying drivers of conflict. Memes like nationalism, religion, and ideology. Really, they all create division and they all fuel the flames of war. So, really, this part of his philosophy really it highlights the role of ideology in shaping human conflict. And really, Monsoon, like he sees war as a catalyst for human evolution. Like he believes that constant conflict will push humanity to transcend its current form, perhaps even into a cyborg, existence like his own. And really, this ideology really it suggests, that war is a necessary step in human progress. So really, Monsoon, really Monsoon, like he really overall is like the kind of character, the kind of person who rejects, the idea of peace, as a utopia. Because see, he views a world without war as a stagnant, one where humanity ceases to develop. Now, this cynical view it really questions the very possibility, of lasting peace. Because, really in this case, this part of his philosophy is brutal and it's most definitely Darwinian, because he sees war as a necessary evil, a force that hones humanity and drives it towards, an uncertain future. So really whether you agree with his methods or not, there is no doubt in mind, that Monsoon is a character who forces us to confront, the complexities of war and also its enduring presence really in the world that we all live in. And really another part to focus and cover on really in the philosophy of Monsoon really is something overall something I like something I like to call the freedom fallacy. Now, free will is a comforting lie. We are not like the authors of our own destinies. That our choices are predetermined by the means that control us. And really, this is like a deliberate, like, say, provocation, forcing us to question the very nature, of choice and responsibility. Now, this is pretty much overall like how Monsoon, like, how he himself really thinks. This is how he really thinks overall. So really, he believes that. He believes that, free will is an illusion, that we are all just simply products of means, we're products of the ideas that replicate and spread, shaping our behavior, shaping our beliefs. He even argues that societal norms, the traditions and the ideologies they control us. They control us more than any individual choice. And really in Monsoon's world, only strength defines freedom. And really, the weak, they're simply cogs in a machine, and that their freedom, a meaningless concept. So, really, only those who can impose their will, like himself, are truly free. And really, this philosophy, like this part of his philosophy, really it embodies, really like, a brutal social Darwinism, where might makes right. So really, Monsoon, like he sees the spread of memes as akin to a virus, infecting and manipulating minds, and he really uses his own, like say, magnetism and his own charisma to spread his ideology. Seeking to rewrite the dominant meme and really to reshape society according to his vision. And really, this reflects a fear of manipulation and really the power of the influential ideas. And really, despite his reliance on cybernetic enhancements, Monsoon views true freedom as transcending the limitations of both flesh and machine, because he seeks a higher state of existence, unburdened by, physical constraints or societal programming. And this really hints at a hidden desire for something more, really for something more, you know, really, really like a twisted, like, say, yearning for, really for a purer form, of freedom. So really the freedom fallacy, it's very disturbing, it's a very disturbing part of Monsoon's philosophy, and because really it strips away, because really what it does is really that it strips away, the human agency, and it really paints a bleak picture of societal control. However, it also forces us to confront, the uncomfortable truths about, the influence of ideas and really the power, structures that, shape our world. So Monsoon, like he may be a villain, but his warped, like say, perspective, it offers like say a chilling glimpse, like really into the potential dangers of unchecked power and really the struggle for like true freedom. And also another part, to cover on in this video, when it comes to Monsoon's philosophy, really is, embrace the storm. So really, when it comes to Monsoon, like, really instead of like clinging to the illusions, what he does is that, he urges us to accept like the meaningless, chaos of existence. To pretty much, accept the fact, accept that, there is no higher purpose, that there is no grand narrative. and that really the only constant is the struggle itself. So really this part, however bleak it is, it offers a strange kind of like say liberation really honestly. The freedom from the burden of, meaning and making. So really, Monsoon, so really that's the thing, Monsoon, like he rejects weakness. He believes that true power it comes from embracing pain and hardship, from being like say reforged in the fires of conflict. And really, this part, once again, it echoes this concept, once again, known as survival of the fittest, where only the strong can truly thrive. And really when it comes to Monsoon, Monsoon isn't like, like because really when you think about it, you know, really when it comes to Monsoon, like, now he isn't like say driven, by ideology or patriotism. Cause the thing about Monsoon is this, like he sees war as a market. He sees it as a place to exploit and to profit. And what this really reflects is that this reflects a ruthless, like say, pragmatism, a belief that morality is a luxury that war cannot afford. So really, Monsoon, like he scoffs at the hero archetype. He scoffs at that. Because he views society's dependence on heroes as a weakness. A crutch that prevents people from, taking responsibility for their own safety. So really, in his own twisted view, humanity it needs villains to push them to be stronger. You know, so really, the world, according to Monsoon, is really in his mind inherently chaotic. That the strong they ride the storm and the weak they get swept away by it. So really this part reflects a kind of brutal acceptance of reality. A belief that, one must adapt and become like the storm to survive it. So really, Monsoon, and that's the thing about Monsoon. Like, see, Monsoon, like, because see, really, Monsoon, like, he sees, like, the cybernetic enhancements. He sees it as a way to evolve, but pretty much to evolve beyond human limitations. Because really, he seeks to transcend the flesh and become something more. Become a being of pure power and will. And what this reflects is really this reflects a dissatisfaction with really the constraints of human form, a yearning to push the boundaries of what it really means to be alive. And also another part to focus on this, of course, is really, transcend the flesh. So the human body, to Monsoon's eyes, and now see in Monsoon, like now see in his mind, the human body is a weak vessel, susceptible to memes and limited by mortality. So really, Monsoon cybernetic enhancements really they represent a yearning to transcend, these limitations, to become something more, something, really, really to become something more, something unburdened by the shackles of humanity. And what this really reflects is this reflects a desire to push, beyond our physical and mental constraints. So that's the thing, Monsoon, like he sees the human body as a fragile cage, limiting our potential. His cybernetic enhancements are a testament, really to his desire to cast off these limitations. So really he believes that true power lies in transcending the flesh and embracing the machine. Now, Monsoon, like he isn't just say, a cyborg, but really he's an evangelist, for cybernetic augmentation. He sees it as the next step in human evolution, a way to push past our physical constraints and become something more. And really, this highlights a fanatical belief in technological progress, even at the cost of our humanity. Now, see, Monsoon, like he doesn't shy away from violence, because really he sees it as a crucible, a force that strengthens both body and will. And this brutality, it isn't just sadistic, but it's twisted. A twisted belief that through pushing oneself to the limit, through enduring pain, one can achieve true power. So really, Monsoon, when it comes to this part, and once again, it echoes a lot of social Darwinism. Like there's a lot of references, a lot of, like say, in this philosophy that just, echoes so much of like Darwinism that that pretty much, has so much Darwinian, so many like pretty much a lot of Darwinian like say concepts, really in this, philosophy of his. Like he believes that the strong survive and that the weak deserve to be purged. And this creates a warped sense of justice where really the ruthlessness is not just tolerated, but really it's celebrated. That's how twisted overall, I mean, really that's how twisted this part and really how twisted his philosophy is as a whole really is. So yeah, so really Monsoon, like his ultimate goal, it isn't just self-improvement, but really it's societal transformation. Because see, he really envisions a world where humanity has transcended its fleshy confines, you know, becoming beings of pure cybernetic might. And really, this speaks to a desire to remake the world in his own violent image. So, really, Monsoon, really, this part of his philosophy is very dark, and really is a dark reflection of the potential dangers of transhumanism. It's really a chilling reminder that the pursuit of strength it can lead us down to a path of violence and dehumanization. Yet, even for how dark and how sadistic and how twisted something like this really is, it is so strangely compelling. Like it really is. Like it's strangely compelling, because this forces us, to kind of like confront the ethical questions that linger, like really, I mean, really at the edge, really of technological advancement. Really, to be honest. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the video here. Of course, today that concludes the philosophy of the care of the monsoon. But overall, Monsoon's philosophy is very dark. It's very cynical. It's very twisted, very cold blooded. It offers no easy answers. Only a cold, hard look at the universe through the eyes, really, of a man who sees the mechanics, of existence. But really, in its harshness, it lies a challenge. A challenge, that is to confront the forces that shape us, to question our assumptions, and to find meaning or perhaps purpose in a world devoid of inherent value. Now, really, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, you know, his demise, really in the game is less really like say about a clear cut defeat and a more like say, about and really it's more about the shattering of his core beliefs. Cause see, Raiden, the main character of the game, filled by his own like say warped sense of justice, he dismantles Monsoon, not just physically, but philosophically. So really, and that's the thing, because Monsoon's worldview, really it was a bleak landscape of nihilism, and really that's like the one thing overall that a lot of characters can really consider a character like Monsoon. People look at a guy like Monsoon as a complete nihilist, because really Monsoon, like he saw humanity as a collection of automations, their actions predetermined by the very genes, and really the memes that he constantly, spouted, you know, free will, according to him, was a myth, and that existence held no inherent meaning. So really, this philosophy it really stemmed, from his own traumatic experiences. Likely the horrors of war and the loss of his humanity. Through extensive, cybernetic augmentations. And Monsoon, like now, Monsoon, he also was a, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Monsoon was also like say, a victim also, of course, of the pretty much of the Khmer Rouge. Pretty much Pol Pot's regime. You know, I believe it was around, say, in the late 1970s, if I am correct. But yes, but Monsoon overall was a victim, pretty much of Pol Pot's regime around that time. So Monsoon, like he understands, like he actually overall, has experience, the horrors of war. You know, so really, that's the thing, and really, with Monsoon like experiencing the horrors of war, it's really overall like say what really made him like, really overall is what gave him like say this nihilistic view that he has on the world in its entirety, you know. But really, when you think about it, like Raiden, the main character, like however he embodies really like the antithesis of Monsoon's nihilism. Now, see, Raiden is a man, who's lost everything, his body, his memories, his sense of self. And yet, really, the one thing that that he clings to on is that he clings to a silver of purpose, and that is really to protect the innocent. Through sheer willpower, he really overcomes the limitations of his cyborg body and the manipulation of others. To find the very determinism that Monsoon champions. And that's the thing about Raiden's character, and I will cover Raiden, in this video, one of these videos one day I will. So I promise you that. But really, when it comes to Raiden and his character, Raiden is somebody who, yes, I mean, he is half man, half cyborg, and really, it's like, you see, and you're pretty much playing as this guy, as this character who's chopping away at cyborgs, cutting people away, with his sword, and just kind of like killing anybody that gets in his way. But really, the thing about Raiden is this: the thing about Raiden that I really think overall that makes him a bit more different, really, than Monsoon is that despite the fact that even though he is a cyborg in this case, the thing about Raiden is that he never lost that human side of him. Like he never lost the human, really the humanity within himself. But Monsoon, on the other hand, I would say he did, of course, because really Raiden, like he possesses, humanity, even despite, the fact that, he himself overall has done a lot of terrible and horrible things. But the thing about Raiden is he accepts that. But instead of, letting those things like say, haunt him forever and take over him forever, he uses that only to like say, to overcome and really to just, to really like say stand on his beliefs and to keep on fighting forward to carve a path, really like say, a path that he himself believes in the most. So Raiden, he never lost the human side of him. Like he never lost his humanity. But Monsoon, on the other hand, at least in my opinion, I believe he has lost humanity. So really, when it comes down, like say to their final clash, because really the final clash really it becomes now. See, really, it's more than just like say a physical battle between both two guys who are cyborgs. Really, it's more of a battle between so like he throws everything at Raiden. And I mean everything. Like, desperate, like say, and I mean like, he's, throwing like smoke bombs, trying to distract Raiden, and then using his own powers, his own abilities, all to his advantage to try and defeat Raiden. But really that's the thing, so it's like despite everything that Monsoon threw at Raiden, really just so desperate to prove his point about the futility of struggle. But the thing about Raiden is that, like I said, filled by this burning desire to carve out his own path, he dismantles Monsoon's arguments and he dismantles them one brutal blow at a time. And really, as Monsoon's cybernetic body, as it crumbles, so too does his philosophy. And really, the rain, and really at the end, where Raiden, when he actually defeats Monsoon, when he actually cuts him apart, when he actually, cuts him down to pieces, the rain, I mean, really, they're fighting like, 'cause really, the boss battle, it takes place like in the rain. And really, the rain really overall is a recurring motive, symbolizing like say the cleansing and really the renewal, washing pretty much away the remnants of Monsoon's nihilistic worldview. So really in his final moments, Monsoon seems to experience a flicker of doubt. He questions whether, Raiden's defiance could be a product of something more than predetermined genes. But really it's a small crack in his otherwise rigid belief system, a fleeting glimpse of the possibility of free will. However, though, it's too late for even like say a full redemption. So really, Monsoon, his legacy overall is one of a brilliant mind, really consumed by despair. A man who drowned his humanity in a sea of nihilism, ultimately defeated not by Raiden's strength, but by the indomitable human spirit that Raiden embodies. So really, Monsoon's demise. So really, it serves as a stark warning. It really serves as really overall a warning. Because really it highlights the dangers of succumbing to despair and really the importance of finding meaning, even in a seemingly meaningless world. So while he does emerge victorious, Monsoon's story overall serves as really a chilling reminder of the destructive potential of unchecked nihilism. And with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that of course concludes this video. So of course, if you enjoyed this video, of course, all together, then make sure you subscribe, like the video, hit the notification bell, to be notified of every video that I make on the channel. And really, with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is all here. So always remember this. Always remember to always be smooth, be steady, and be aggressive. Peace.